The Art of Negotiation, written and published by Mindset Masters Audiobooks. Part 1. The Mindset of a Master Negotiator. Before you learn tactics, persuasion, or strategy, you must build a mindset that makes elite negotiation possible. Most people think negotiation is about clever words, fast talking, or manipulation. It's not. True negotiation is calm power. It is clarity, patience, emotional control, and the ability to stand firm when others collapse. Negotiation is not a fight. It is not aggression. It is not fear, desperation, or begging for approval. Negotiation is a quiet confidence rooted in this truth. I bring value. I'm not afraid to walk away, and I refuse to trade my worth for comfort. If you master that belief first, every strategy becomes 10x more powerful. You negotiate every day. You already negotiate far more than you realize. When you ask for a raise, when you set boundaries in relationships, when you decide how people treat you, when you price your product or services, when you communicate needs or expectations, even when you negotiate with yourself about discipline and habits. Negotiation isn't only business. It's life. Every decision communicates your value. You're always negotiating, either from strength or weakness. The cost of weak negotiation. People who fear negotiation live small lives. They settle. They stay silent. They avoid discomfort and call it peace. But silence is not peace. Avoidance is not harmony. Every time you avoid standing up for what you deserve, you shrink. Your confidence weakens. Your self-belief deteriorates. You train your mind to accept less. The world doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you confidently request and negotiate for. The negotiator's identity. Before technique comes identity. Repeat this until it becomes part of you. I do not chase approval. I do not fear silence. I do not rush decisions. I am calm under pressure. I stand firm in my worth. I can walk away without fear. Successful negotiation begins with emotional control. The one who controls their emotions controls the room. Patience over impulse. The average person rushes. They fear losing the deal, the person, the opportunity, or the moment. But the skilled negotiator knows. Rushing is losing. Silence is a tool. Patience is leverage. Slowness is strength. Stillness is dominance. When you slow down, the other person reveals information, emotions, intentions, and weaknesses. You don't push to win. You create pressure by not moving first. Never negotiate from neediness. Neediness destroys negotiating power instantly. When you need approval, validation, the deal, or the outcome, you negotiate from fear. When you prefer the deal but do not need it, you negotiate from strength. Neediness is loud. Confidence is quiet. Wanting something is normal. Needing it is death to power. Train yourself to detach emotionally from the outcome. You are not negotiating for survival. You are negotiating from strength. The walk-away principle. The most powerful negotiation rule. The one who can walk away holds the real power. When walking away is an option, you cannot be manipulated. You cannot be pressured. You cannot be controlled by fear. Walking away does not mean losing. It means protecting your dignity and your value. Sometimes the most powerful move is simply leaving the table. Your first assignment. Today, begin building the mind of a negotiator. Speak slower. Never rush to answer. Sit with silence. Say, let me think about it. Practice holding your ground. Remind yourself you are worthy of what you ask for. Your future success depends on your ability to communicate your value, calmly, confidently, and without fear. You are stepping into a world where your voice carries power. Your presence holds weight, and your decisions shape outcomes. This is the beginning of your evolution as a master negotiator. Part 2. Reading people like a negotiator. To persuade others, influence outcomes, and win negotiations, you must first understand people. Negotiation is not about talking. It is about observing. Those who master observation gain control before a word is spoken. Great negotiators don't react to what people say. They react to what people mean. The power of silent intelligence. Most people enter conversations trying to be impressive. Negotiators enter to collect data. They watch. Tone of voice. Breathing speed. eye contact or avoidance, posture and tension, micro expressions, pauses and hesitation, emotional cues, confidence versus insecurity. People reveal themselves constantly. The unaware simply fail to notice. Silence is your listening tool. Stillness is your information weapon. Let others talk. They will tell you their fears, desires, limits, and motivations. Spot what drives them. Every negotiation has one emotional driver at its core. Fear of losing, desire to win, desire to feel respected, fear of rejection, desire for security, desire for status, need to feel important. Once you identify what drives them, you understand how to guide the conversation. You don't manipulate. You align motivations. Negotiation is not force. It is direction. Pay attention to discomfort. Real truth hides in discomfort. When someone feels pressured, uncertain, or insecure, they will break eye contact, cross their arms, touch their neck or face, shift posture, speak faster or ramble, offer explanations you didn't ask for. These signals reveal leverage points, not for exploitation, but for understanding where their limits and fears live. A calm, confident presence makes others reveal their internal state. The rule of emotional distance. To read others clearly, you must not be emotional yourself. Emotion clouds judgment. Attachment blinds perception. Impatience creates mistakes. Negotiation clarity requires internal stillness. If you feel anxious, tense, or rushed, pause. Breathe. Reset. Your calmness sharpens your perception. And perception is power. You don't overpower others. You out-perceive them. Mirroring without mimicking. Mirroring is not copying behavior. That's manipulation, and it feels artificial. True mirroring means aligning energy. Speak on their pace level, fast with fast, slow with slow. Match emotional tone, calm with calm, enthusiasm with enthusiasm. Respect their communication style, direct or indirect. People trust those who feel familiar. When they feel understood, they open up. And once they open up, the negotiation becomes effortless. The art of controlled curiosity. Ask questions that reveal motives, not facts. Instead of, what do you want? Say, what would make this a win for you? Instead of, why do you need this? Say, what problem are you trying to solve? Instead of, what's your limit? Say, what's most important to you here? Curiosity disarms ego. Curiosity invites honesty. Curiosity earns trust. When you become genuinely curious, people tell you more than they plan to. Your growth exercise. For the next 24 hours. Speak less than usual. Observe more than usual. Let silence do the work. Watch people's reactions, not their words. Try to understand emotional drivers, not statements. You will be shocked at how much the world reveals. When you stop rushing to speak and start listening with power, negotiation begins with seeing people clearly. And now, you're learning to see. Part 3. The language of influence. Powerful negotiators don't use more words. They use better words. They don't try to sound smart. They speak in a way that lands, persuades, and guides. Influence is not about dominance or force. It is about alignment, clarity, and controlled direction. Your words should create certainty, calmness, and authority. Speak with intent, not emotion. The average person talks to release emotion. Negotiators speak to achieve outcomes. Emotion-driven speech sounds like, I need this. Please understand. I really hope. I just want. Outcome-driven speech sounds like, here's what works. Let's explore the best solution. This is the outcome we are aiming for. Here's the value being created. Remove neediness from your language. Replace it with quiet authority. The power of because. When you ask for something, don't simply ask. Justify it. Here's what I believe works best because. The word because increases compliance and agreement. Humans respond to reasoning, even when brief. Never request without framing. Never direct without context. Reason creates trust. Context creates cooperation. Control the frame. In negotiation, whoever controls the frame controls the conversation. Frames are subtle messages such as, I am not rushed. I am here to solve, not force. I value this, but I don't need it. We both win, or we don't proceed. A strong frame doesn't require force. It requires calm certainty. People follow those who appear to already know the path. Use authority language. Replace doubt words with power words. Weak language. I think. Maybe. I guess. Hopefully. Strong language. I recommend. Here's what works best. The most effective approach is, the outcome we are aiming for is, never overstate, never oversell. Be precise and confident. Authority is not loud, it is clear. Questions that shift power. A great negotiator redirects conversations with questions that reveal priorities and create clarity. What outcome matters most for you here? What concerns do you want to avoid? What would make this a win for both of us? What solution do you see as fair? Questions shift attention. Questions diffuse tension. Questions give you the steering wheel. Speak slowly, pause often. Fast talking is insecurity. Speed signals pressure, anxiety, and weakness. Slow speech signals confidence, control, self-respect, certainty. Pauses are power. Silence makes others reveal more. Silence creates pressure without force. Silence shows you are not afraid. The one comfortable with silence always leads. The 3 pillars of persuasive speech. To influence, combine. Logic, simple, clear reasoning. Emotion, speak to the feeling behind the decision. Credibility, demonstrate calm competence. When your speech has logic, emotion, and credibility, people naturally move toward your position. They don't feel forced. They feel guided. Daily practice. Today, speak with intention. Remove fillers. Like, you know. Replace emotion with reasoning. Talk slower than usual. Pause after making key points. Ask clarifying questions instead of rushing to respond. Use power language, not doubt language. You are not trying to convince. You are establishing clarity. You are not trying to win arguments. You are shaping outcomes. Every word becomes a tool, and you are learning to use them with precision. Part 4. The power of listening to win influence. Most people believe negotiation is about speaking, about persuading, convincing, and presenting the strongest argument. But the real masters know something different. Negotiation is won by the person who listens best. Listening is not passive. It is strategic. When you deeply listen, you uncover the other party's motivations, fears, goals, pressure points, and desires. You gather the information required to influence the outcome. You cannot move someone until you understand what moves them. Why listening gives you power. True listening allows you to identify hidden agendas. Notice emotional triggers. Recognize what the other person values most. Adapt your approach based on real data, not assumptions. Make the other party feel heard, respected, and understood. When people feel understood, they trust you. And trust opens doors logic can never unlock. Never underestimate the emotional side of negotiation. In almost every deal, business, relationships, career advancement, emotions decide first. Logic justifies later. Listening tells you which emotions are active. Listening tells you where leverage lies. Your goal is not to respond, but to understand. Most people listen only to reply. They listen while preparing a rebuttal in their mind. That is not listening. That is waiting for your turn to speak. To negotiate masterfully, shift your internal focus from, what will I say next? To, what is this person really telling me, and what do they actually want? When you practice this shift, you move from a participant to a strategist. Key listening techniques of elite negotiators. Speak less than you listen. Ask open-ended questions. Tell me more about that. What matters most to you in this situation? Why is this important for you right now? If we could create the perfect outcome, what would it look like? Use silence intentionally. Most amateur negotiators rush to fill silence. Professionals let silence do the work. Silence exposes true feelings, encourages honesty, and creates pressure that reveals information. Maintain calm eye contact. Show you are present. The more connected they feel, the more they reveal. Mirror key phrases subtly. Example. Them, we need speed and reliability. You. Speed and reliability. Let's explore how we can support that. This creates alignment without force. Listening creates leverage. Information is leverage. If you know their deadline, you have leverage. If you know their fears, you have leverage. If you know what they value more than money, time, stability, pride, recognition, comfort, you control the field. The person who speaks the most exposes themselves. The person who listens the most gathers power. Practice presence, not performance. Do not listen while thinking about winning. Listen to understand the battlefield before you engage. Remember, you don't defeat a person. You solve a problem in a way that aligns interests. Listening turns negotiation from confrontation into collaboration. Daily self-training, listening mastery exercise. For the next 5 conversations you have today, practice this. Speak only when necessary. Ask clarifying questions. Avoid interrupting. Repeat back the core idea to confirm understanding. Notice tone, pace, and emotion, not just words. You will instantly feel more control and more clarity. Your reframe for today. Great negotiators don't need to be the loudest. Great negotiators don't need to dominate the room. Great negotiators gather information quietly, then win decisively. Master listening, and influence begins to come naturally. Your presence becomes stronger, your confidence grows, and your power rises, not because you force it, but because you understand. Understanding is influence. Part 5, Strategic Persuasion, Shaping Decisions Without Force. You now understand the power of listening in negotiation. But listening alone is not enough. Once you understand what the other person values, fears, and hopes for, your next mission is to guide the conversation in a way that aligns their needs with your desired outcome. This is strategic persuasion. Persuasion is not manipulation. Manipulation forces people into decisions. Persuasion leads them there willingly. True influence does not feel like pressure. It feels like clarity, confidence, and mutual benefit. The mindset of ethical persuasion. Here's a reframe that will serve you for life. You are not convincing someone to agree with you. You are helping them see why your solution serves them. Negotiation is never you versus them. It is you and them versus the problem. When you shift into this mindset, you stop trying to win, and you start trying to build outcomes that make everyone stronger. That's when you become unstoppable. 3 core elements of persuasive influence. To persuade masterfully, blend. Logic, facts, numbers, structure, data. Emotion, trust, confidence, desire, security. Credibility, belief in your competence and reliability. Most people use only one. Some rely only on emotion. Some rely only on logic. Some try to impress with authority alone. The elite negotiator uses all 3 like a balanced weapon. Speak to what they value, not what you want. People do not make decisions based on your reasons. They decide based on their reasons. So instead of saying, I need this deal to close today, ask yourself, what would make them want to close today? Maybe it's speed. Maybe it's security. Maybe it's reputation. Maybe it's reducing stress or uncertainty. When you communicate using their motivations, resistance disappears. Use framing to shape perception. Framing means presenting information in a way that influences how the other person interprets it. Example, instead of, this option is cheaper, say, this option saves you more long-term flexibility and reduces risk. People don't buy things, they buy meaning. Choose frames that highlight stability, growth, convenience, security, status, or simplicity, whichever they care about most. The power of social proof. Humans follow patterns. We trust what others have already trusted. So integrate subtle cues like, many clients in your situation choose this. We've helped others achieve exactly this outcome. Top performers in your industry prefer this structure. Social proof reduces uncertainty. Uncertainty kills deals. Create momentum with microagreements. Big agreements can feel overwhelming. Small agreements build commitment and safety. Use questions that generate continuous yes responses. Would you say efficiency matters most for you? Is this timeline comfortable for you? So far, does this match what you're looking for? Once someone says yes several times, the final yes is natural. Reduce risk before you ask for commitment. People hesitate not because they don't want something, but because they fear making the wrong choice. Remove that fear. Offer guarantees, options, trial periods, reversible steps, clarity on next moves. When fear drops, agreement rises. Your daily influence drill. Today, practice guiding one conversation by identifying the other person's internal motivation, speaking to their desired outcome, asking 2 small yes-building questions, reducing a fear or concern proactively, ending with a collaborative frame. This turns a normal conversation into a controlled negotiation. You'll feel your influence elevate instantly. Your reframe for today. Persuasion is not pushing, it is aligning. It is not conquering, it is guiding. It is not dominance, it is skill. Powerful negotiation isn't loud. It isn't aggressive. It isn't forceful. Real power is quiet. precise, strategic. The more skillfully you understand, frame, and guide, the more naturally people follow. Part 8. Tactical patience, the negotiator's secret advantage. The impatient negotiator loses before the conversation even begins. They rush the process. They chase fast agreement. They fear silence, delays, and uncertainty. But negotiation is not speed. It is strategy, timing, and psychological stability. The one who controls time controls the outcome. Patience is power. Patience isn't passive. Patience is tactical control. When you are patient, you avoid emotional decisions. Let the other person reveal themselves. Maintain leverage. Force them to justify urgency. Become the calm center in pressured situations. Most people break because they can't handle waiting. You win because you can. Slow the pace to win the deal. A rushed deal is rarely a good deal. When someone pushes urgently, ask yourself, are they trying to pressure me because they lack leverage? Often, urgency is a sign of weakness, not strength. Use phrases that slow the pace. Let's think this through carefully. I want to make sure this is truly fair for both sides. Let's revisit the key numbers calmly. I'll need some time to consider that. By slowing the tempo, you shift control. Silence, the hidden weapon. When you say nothing, people fill the silence with truth. Silence forces clarification, concessions, emotional reveals, second guessing. Say your position, then stop talking. Silence works because it is uncomfortable. And most people fear discomfort more than losing. You don't just speak power. You sit in it, delaying strategically. Sometimes, the smartest move is not to respond immediately. Delays create pressure on them. Time for you to analyze. Distance from emotion. Space to build leverage. Try controlled delay tactics. I need 24 hours to review this. Let me run this by my team. I'll consider it and come back with clarity. This signals confidence, not hesitation. Power doesn't rush. Knowing when to hold and when to push. Patience doesn't mean waiting forever. It means timing your moves precisely. Wait until they show their true priorities. Move when their flexibility increases. Push when they begin compromising. Close when emotion turns into relief. Negotiation is rhythm. Learn the rhythm, and you lead the dance. Emotional discipline equals financial strength. Most negotiation mistakes come from emotion, not logic. Fear of losing. Fear of rejection. Desire to be liked. Desire to rush into relief. Replace emotion with calculation. Ask yourself, is this reaction helping me win or just making me feel better in the moment? Great negotiators don't chase feelings. They chase results. The patience mindset. Think long-term. Protect your leverage. Let others exhaust themselves. You are the mountain. They are the rushing wind. Wind is loud. Mountains endure. Your practice today. Next time you're negotiating, try this. White heavy checkmark pause before responding. White heavy checkmark delay decisions to think clearly. White heavy checkmark sit comfortably in silence. White heavy checkmark refuse to be rushed. White heavy checkmark wait until the other side reveals urgency. Your value rises when your urgency disappears. Today's negotiation reframe. The calm mind negotiates better than the reactive mind. The one who waits strategically beats the one who reacts emotionally. Patience is not slow. Patience is the speed of winning. Part 9. Emotional intelligence. Mastering people, not just words. You can memorize negotiation scripts. You can study tactics, phrases, and strategies. But without emotional intelligence, you will always feel like you're fighting uphill. Negotiation is not a battle of facts. It is a dance of emotions, needs, and psychology. If you understand people deeper than they understand themselves, you will influence them effortlessly, reading the human behind the words. Most people listen to respond. Master negotiators listen to diagnose. Pay attention to tone shifts, breath changes, hesitations, micro-expressions, energy drops or spikes, what they avoid saying. Often, the truth exists between the sentences. Read the person, not just the argument. Ego, the silent saboteur. Many negotiations fail because someone's ego gets involved. People don't just fight for money. They fight for identity, respect, and pride. Your goal is simple. Protect their ego so you can protect your outcome. Instead of saying, that's unrealistic, say, I see why you'd think that. Let's explore it together. Agreement creates connection. Connection creates influence. Make them feel safe, not defeated. When people feel threatened, they resist. When they feel safe, they open. Use emotional safety phrases. I understand where you're coming from. That's a reasonable concern. Let's figure out something that works for both of us. I value your point of view. Validation is not surrender. It is psychological lubrication. The calm mirror technique. Mirror the emotional tone you want them to adopt. If they escalate, you go calmer. If they get nervous, you get grounded. If they rush, you slow down. If they doubt, you speak with calm certainty. Your emotional state becomes their emotional direction. Influence begins inside you first. Managing your own emotions. You cannot lead someone emotionally if you can't lead yourself. Before every negotiation, ground yourself. Deep breaths. Straight posture. Calm voice. Clear intention. Say silently to yourself, I do not chase. I lead. A negotiator driven by emotion will lose to a negotiator powered by clarity. Empathy with boundaries. Empathy does not mean weakness. You can understand someone without bending to them. Empathy lets you see clearly. Boundaries let you act decisively. Kind, calm, firm, unshakable. That is emotional strength in negotiation. The confidence that quietly dominates. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is not aggressive. Real confidence is stillness, control, certainty, poise, choice. When you know your worth, you never fear walking away. People respect a person who does not need approval to stand strong. Your practice today, in your next negotiation or conversation. White heavy checkmark watch tone and energy, not just words. White heavy checkmark validate before persuading. White heavy checkmark stay calm when others feel pressure. White heavy checkmark speak slowly and intentionally. White heavy checkmark protect your emotional state like an asset. Emotional intelligence is a silent weapon. Few master it, but those who do lead the room. Today's negotiation reframe. You don't win by overpowering emotion. You win by understanding it. People follow those who understand them. Influence begins with awareness. Negotiation succeeds with emotional mastery. Control the emotion, and you control the outcome. Part 10. Becoming the person who always gets the yes. Negotiation mastery is not simply a skill. It is an identity, a way of moving through the world. People don't just say yes to strong arguments. They say yes to strong people. Your presence, your certainty, your emotional leadership, your ability to stay calm, to think clearly, to operate without fear. That is what makes you a negotiator others respect, trust, and follow. Negotiation is a life philosophy. True negotiation extends beyond money, contracts, and deals. You negotiate with life every day. For your time, for your peace, for your value, for the standards you hold, for the respect you demand, for the future you're building. Negotiation is how confident people shape reality instead of being shaped by it. Negotiation is self-respect turned into action. The ultimate leverage, knowing your worth. The most powerful negotiating position in existence is this. I am willing to walk away. When you are not desperate, you are dangerous. When you don't chase approval, people chase yours. When you value yourself, others follow. Power belongs to the one who does not fear loss. Because their value comes from within, not from the deal. Influence through identity. Stop trying to do negotiation tricks. Start becoming the kind of person who naturally influences. Your identity moving forward. Calm under pressure. Emotionally disciplined. Patient and strategic. Confident in silence. Clear in communication. Fair but firm. Strong but respectful. Driven by purpose, not ego. This identity earns respect before a word is spoken. Presence over performance. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to oversell. You don't need to force influence. Power is quiet. Confidence is still. Authority is felt, not shouted. When you speak less, your words weigh more. When you move slow, your presence strengthens. When you stay calm, others align with your energy. Influence with integrity. Winning matters, but how you win matters more. True negotiation is not manipulation. It is alignment. It is creating outcomes where people feel empowered, not defeated. When you negotiate with honor, you build alliances, not resistance. You build reputation, not fracture it. Reputation compounds, like wealth. Guard it fiercely. Your power mantras. Repeat these until they become your instinct. I do not react, I respond. I do not chase, I position. I do not rush, I calculate. I do not fear silence, I use it. I do not negotiate from ego, I negotiate from clarity. I do not collapse under pressure. I rise in it. This is who you are now. Your final practice. From this moment forward. White heavy checkmark, speak calmly and with intention. White heavy checkmark, treat silence as a tool. White heavy checkmark, set boundaries and hold them. White heavy checkmark, never rush your decisions. White heavy checkmark, validate emotions while leading outcomes. White heavy checkmark, protect your self-worth above all else. You are not someone hoping for good deals. You are someone who creates good deals. You are not someone who persuades occasionally. You influence naturally, constantly, effortlessly. Negotiation is no longer a technique. It is your standard of existence. Final reframe. You don't win negotiation by forcing power. You win by becoming power. When you master yourself, you win every table you sit at and every room you walk into. Influence isn't something you do. Influence is something you are. Walk forward now, not as a participant in negotiation, but as the force that shapes it. You are the person who gets the yes, because you have become the person who earns it.